Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
Got all them. Look at the time here. You got Idris Elba, who shouldn't even been playing Heimdall to begin with. I'm gonna be real. You've got a talent like Idris Elba, and you've given him 14 minutes of time in the MCU. You've got Samuel Jackson. Yeah, all the movies put together, that's his time in the MCU.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah,
I would have thought that it was more than that.
That's it right there.
Wow.
You've got Samuel Jackson here, Nick Fury. His time in the MCU, 1 hour and 16 minutes. You've got Don Cheadle's time, it's 52 minutes and 15 seconds. And then you got old dude, Cleon Bennett, that played...
John Walker,
yeah,
Star...
Battlestar.
Battlestar, yeah.
So, yeah, and his time is 11 minutes. And then I believe... What was...
Garrus said Anthony Hopkins was Odin. He was only there for like 10 minutes.
Right. And I believe it was... Where is that one? Chadwick Boseman's time is 1 hour and 4 minutes. So... And you got Anthony Mackie with his 2 hours and whatever. But Anthony Mackie and his 2 hours and whatever is because he was the side character.
Captain America.
Right.
He was the sidekick. So he had to be where Cap was.
Right.
So of course, whenever we're the derivative character or we're the sidekick, then sure, we get the time. But so I just think I think that is really something to look at when you're looking at this. You got Samuel Jackson with the hour 16. You got Idris Elba, the talent that you have in Idris Elba. You could have even had Idris Elba come in as Blue Marvel if you wanted to. You could have used that talent, but you're using him to play. That's why, again, just being honest, he never should have been Heimdall. He just never should have been Heimdall. So it's just, and then you got, again, for everybody saying, oh, you got enough of T'Challa, 1 hour and 4 minutes. What's Robert Downey Jr.'s time?
Oh, it's got to be crazy.
Tom's time is already 2:42.
Yeah.
How many times has T'Challa been in the MCU? They came in the MCU at the same time.
Same movie.
Same movie.
War.
Same movie. The
But
difference is he got 3
of his
movies.
own movies.
He got 3 of his own movies where you got to see that. Ooh, and I'm going to get into that shit. I'm going to wait. I'm going to get into that shit because I'm going to wait.
Look at Chris Hemsworth's time, too.
Yeah, you got Chris Hemsworth at 3 hours 25. Of course, you've got Chris Evans at 4 hours and 4. And you've got Robert Downey Jr. at 5 hours and 57 minutes. And again, it's because you got to, and this is going to lead me into the Black Panther stuff. You got to see, regardless of how shitty the Iron Man 2 and 3, in my opinion, are, we still got to see Tony going through stuff. All the PTSD stuff, all the trauma that he was going through, the stuff with his parents even, that led into Winter Soldier. The conflict that led between him and Cap. Even seeing Cap's backstories and stuff, with making the decision to not tell Tony, even though he knew about it the entire time. The backstories that were built with all of these characters, they all got that.
Yeah.
1 hour and 4 minutes, for all of you out there, you got enough of T'Challa. 1 hour and 4 minutes, a handful of cameos in one movie that he died in, does not accurately tell you anything about this character. If you were to sit down in here with us and I asked you to tell me about Tony Stark in the MCU, you could do it. You could tell me stories. You could tell me this. You could tell me that. If I asked you to do the same about Chris Evans, you could do that. You can tell me, Cap did this in this movie, and Cap helped in this movie, and Cap showed up and he did this in his own movie. What can you tell me about T'Challa? Well, he showed up in Civil War. And then but he died. He had his film and he died. Then he showed up in Infinity War, said something about, you're in Wakanda now, nothing but blood and dust. Showed up in Endgame the last 10 minutes. And then he's not showing up in his own film. So, that's what you can tell me about T'Challa. That's what you can tell me about him. You can't tell me anything about the character because you've learned nothing about him. We've learned nothing about him. So, that then now takes us over to Ryan Coogler and the things that he was saying. So, Ryan Coogler recently did an interview, and in that interview that he did, he was talking about what the script would have been. Because, our brother Chad did pass before he passed, he and Ryan both wrote the script. Like, the script was done. They had the whole, what they wanted, what Chad wanted the next film to look like with T'Challa, and it was all centered around T'Challa. With it being centered around T'Challa, that then takes me back to something I'm constantly saying again. It's 2018. They had him leading the Avengers, so we were going to dive even deeper into that.
Yeah.
But let's go back real quick. So, Ryan Coogler came out and said, the script we wrote before Chadwick passed was very much rooted in T'Challa's perspective. Coogler said, it was a massive movie, but also simultaneously a character study that delved deeply into his psyche and situation. A character study. That is what we've gotten, like I just explained, what we've gotten with Steve Rogers. We got a character study with Tony Stark. We got a character study with fucking Spider-Man. He doesn't even belong to Marvel. Okay? Yeah. So we even got a character study with that.
Yeah.
So again, I know we just had a recent comment of us telling us we don't know what we're talking about and the characters this and the characters that. Brings me back to my question. Tell me about the character then. Tell me what you've learned about T'Challa in the MCU.
Right. And
you can't tell me that. And so this is sad. It's sad to see that we would have gotten a story that would have been surrounded by the franchise's main character. We would have gotten a story that was going to further develop his story in the MCU.
And eventually usher him into, like, leading the Avengers.
Yes.
Because stop and look at everybody who's around, who's more qualified to lead the Avengers than T'Challa.
Exactly. So it's like, it's sad. And then to have that story, and I would like to see that script, I really would. And then to have that story and then completely change it to where, obviously you saw what your friend wanted, your brother.
Yeah.
You saw what your brother wanted because he wrote it with him. You spent the time with him. He was telling you that he wanted to delve more deeply into T'Challa's psyche and the situation of Wakanda, because even in the comics, T'Challa deals not only with decisions outside or things outside of Wakanda, he deals with the problems within Wakanda.
Oh, yeah.
It's not always as king. You see that in any type of leadership. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's always going to agree with the decision that the leader makes.
Yeah.
And with that comes, the rebels, the revolting, the this, the that, the fighting. He deals with that type of stuff in Wakanda. Could that be the situation that they're referring to? Could that have been something going on within Wakanda that he had to deal with? Because again, that would have been the situation. Hell, what am I talking about? The first film, him opening up Wakanda. Not everyone in Wakanda agreed with that.
Right.
So that could have been a situation that developed within Wakanda, that would have developed him as a king, that would have shown us more. Because again, even in his first film, he was robbed of his intelligence.
Yeah.
T'Challa has a PhD.
Yeah.
So the fact that in the first film, not saying that there's anything wrong with Shuri being intelligent, because there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But again, why did we have to take T'Challa's intelligence just to show Shuri as intelligent?
Right.
Because
they could have
both been intelligent.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll never get. And I've said this before plenty of times on this channel. We're not going to get to see him be the leader of the Avengers. We won't get to see him bring that intellect to the team. We won't get to see him grow as a leader, not just as leader of the Avengers, but we're not going to get to see him be a king. We don't get to see that. Last time we saw him, yes, he was a prince, and then he came into, he said in Civil War, I don't just wear the mantle of the Black Panther, I also now wear the mantle of king. And we didn't get to see him be king. He made one decision, and now you're about to have him die of a sickness, so we don't even get to see that. And if he has this bastard child, then we're not even going to get to see him be a father. Yeah. We're not going to get to see him be that strong, black, intelligent king father and raise his son. Yeah. We don't get to see that. We don't get to see him once you bring in the X-Men. Marry the Omega level mutant that she is, Storm. Mm-hmm. We don't get to see her be the queen next to her king of Wakanda.
They were just scratching the surface.
Just scratching the surface with everything.
His whole arc, everything that he was going to mean to the MCU, all this classic storylines in the comics, Secret Wars, like everything that he was going to be such a key piece to. And because Chadwick dies, they just throw it all out the window. It just doesn't make sense. And say that it's to honor him when he liked the direction it was going and would have liked to see that character continue to do so. But
It's a reckless decision that Marvel's making because these are things that we need. You know, in order to fall in love with a character, you want to see that character. Like again, I'm currently on season 5 of Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. I have my favorites and I have the ones I want to die.
Right, yeah.
But in order for me to have those feelings, I have to go on a journey with those characters.
Yeah.
I have to have spent time to make me either dislike this character or fall in love with this character or whatever. We have not had that time in the MCU like we've had again with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. I love Tony. I do. Yeah. The MCU Tony, Robert Downey Jr.'s version, he made me fall in love with, more so with the character than I even thought I already was.
Like you said, we spent time with him.
Exactly. We spent time with him.
How much time with him? We went through how much with him? We saw him go through.
So much so that we even knew some things like I know Tony so well in the MCU that when in Endgame when they were saying that they wanted to go ask Tony for help, I was like, that's not gonna go your way, bro. Mm-hmm. Tony's not going for that. He's probably still pissed at you, Steve. Yeah. And so and not only that, when they showed up, that's one of my favorite lines with Tony when he says, so you're basing your whole time travel plan off of Back to the Future. And then he says, no. He's like, good, because that'd be horseshit. That's one of my, one, I just love him. So, but I love him because I got to spend time with him. I got to learn about the character. I got to see Tony go through the PTSD and the struggles of all the visions he was seeing. I got to see Tony eventually marry and have a child with the woman that he loved. I got to see Tony develop from being the playboy that he was in the first one to still being that, but being just a bit more hands on the rails on controlling and leading a team. I don't get that with T'Challa. We don't get that. So the fact to say that, again, to see this, to know that you did have a story, and then to flip it back right here, to know that the overall MCU had a plan for the character, you don't then negate those plans. And I get it for the people coming, actually I don't get it, for the people coming in the comments saying Chadwick Boseman died. Please do not reveal the obvious to me again. I understand that Chadwick Boseman died. I understand that these people, because somebody in the comments,
that's why he's not in the movie.
Right. Someone in the comments said, well, Lupita knew him. That's why you didn't know him. That's why she doesn't want him recast. Listen, again, come into these conversations with your facts. Lupita found out the exact same way I found out, you found out, and you found out. If she was that close to him, she would have found out the minute it all happened, the closeness of his family, and like the way that Michael B. Jordan found out, or the way that Ryan Coogler found out. Obviously, the sister wasn't that close with him. So when you come into these conversations again, come in educated, come in fully loaded, because I didn't even reply to that. I just put the laughing emojis and said recast T'Challa, because at this point I'm done arguing with the ignorance. We've given the evidence. It's all laid out. All you have to do is continue the character. Just don't kill him. Do whatever the fuck you want to do with Wakanda forever. At this point, I don't give a fuck. But don't kill him. You don't have to have him off the screen. And again, Ryan Coogler, it's weird, my brother, for you to sit here and have all that time with Chad. You wrote a script with him. I'm sure you had private conversations about what the character meant to him, what he wanted to see the character doing, and then your reaction to that, your reasoning for wanting to do the film to honor your brother, was to have a morbid funeral? Second funeral?
Which is most likely the main plot device in the movie.
Right. I mean, are we even going to see T'Challa at any, I don't know. I'm not saying his face or anything like that. And I can actually bring that up too. So while I'm saying that, I don't know are we going to see T'Challa? Is it going to be one of those things where, is he going to die off screen? Are we going to see, what are we gonna see? Is he in the film at all? What are we looking at? So this I saw on. There's plenty of things that can be done. Don't tell me that you can't get another actor out there, because when I saw this the first time, I had to look. I had to turn my brightness up. I was like, wait, is that Chad? Because you can't tell me, brother, because y'all already all think we look alike anyway. So you can't tell me that you can't get another actor in here to play that role. That right there, that you can't, what?
Yeah.
Come on, bruh.
Yeah.
Come on. It's easy. It's easy to do. Again, if you want to keep him out of this film, do what you feel you got to do. Just don't be morbid and have a second funeral that you are now making the audience pay for to come see you put your friend in the ground again.
Right.
Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Lapita, talking about she was weeping at the end. Well, you already wept at the first funeral.
Yeah.
That's why you were weeping, because you had to relive the fucking trauma.
Right, yeah.
Like, look at what's going on with the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. I mentioned this stuff when I did it with the live with Ian and everybody.
Yeah.
Some things are triggering to people, bro.
Yeah.
Some things are triggering. Some people that may have just been getting over the 2 years of the death of Chadwick or whatever. Now you're coming in and you're making them relive that. You're making them relive what happened 2 years ago with Chadwick, and then you look at the stuff with Jeffrey Dahmer. Those families of those victims are speaking out. They're like, wait a minute, why are you guys profiting off of my family member's death and making us relive this trauma?
Yeah,
like,
that's the biggest thing is relive. Like, they literally, any family who was affected by that back then has not been the same since. Their life is there hasn't been a day that's gone by where at some point during the day they don't remember that their loved one died in that horrific way.
A song could remind you of anything.
But like, just the fact that it was like a national story, the gruesomeness of all of it, and then it's been however long removed, they probably at this point get to like walk around way more normal, and then this shit. Like, I really sympathize
for
those families, given how much time has gone by, and that now that, and have you seen some of these disgusting parents who are dressing their kids up as
that's
what
I was just about to say. We can't because we're calling the recast crowd, the pro recasters are getting called like, oh, you guys are sick for wanting to, it's let Chadwick rest in peace and all this kind of stuff. But yet these are the same people that had to make Amazon take the Jeffrey Dahmer costume off because it's in such high demand for Halloween.
Yeah.
People want to be Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween.
I'm saying, like, what happened?
Why are we glorifying?
Why can't we be something like fictional? Like,
Yeah,
I thought
like,
that's why.
that's what I'm saying, bro. But see,
why you want to be a real nigga that walks around
recasting,
eating
but you can
bro.
see dressing up as Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween,
like real evilness too, like not nothing fiction, like not a fictional Lucifer character or something. Like
this is a real ass nigga that was eating people and drilling holes through motherfuckers and like, what the fuck? Like, keeping skulls and shit, keeping body parts, dismembering them, but you want to glorify that, but
God forbid we have T'Challa on screen.
We say recast T'Challa and we're the sick ones.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Make it make
a real
fucking
person
sense.
died. They want to remind you again.
Make it make fucking sense. So nah, but I disagree with it.
It doesn't make sense.
I just
I don't think that
yeah.
And like I said, it goes back to what Chadwick has said plenty of times.
he has said himself so many times. Gosh, I've said this so many times. I'm gonna say it so many times after. He wanted you to see the role and not him.
Yep.
That's what it was. That's why he wanted to do the character study of T'Challa, because he wanted you to see T'Challa. You wanted you to see him. Wanted you to know him better throughout the MCU, not just the hour and 4 minutes that we've gotten to see him in a handful of cameos in his own movie. That's not it. He wanted you to actually learn the character like we've learned about Peter Parker. We're excited to see where Peter Parker's going to go from here. We got to learn about Tony. We're going to be ecstatic when Tony comes back in the MCU. Mm-hmm. We got to learn about Thor. We're still learning about Thor. Hell, we didn't learn much about him in this last film, but we're still learning about Thor.
Thor's unlearning things at this point. Like, I feel like they've just been making Thor like dumber every movie. I feel like he started off. Yeah, he started off like kind of more serious, like, what you call science, we call magic. It's one the same. Like it can like express and explain all these things, and then they just like have him being like more jock, dumb guy.
Yeah, just like, but even with that, they still got the development in there.
Yes,
we still got more Thor. You know, regardless of him being stupid or what, we still got more of him.
Still got more.
We don't get that with T'Challa.
We still get more Loki after he dies 7,000 times.
Right. So, that's my thoughts on the script, and I just Ryan Coogler and that whole thing. Like I said, I think it's sad. I think it's sad because that's the story that he wanted. That's the direction it was going, but you weirdly picked a different direction within minutes.
Opposite, not even a different one.
Yeah, just complete opposite. So, So again, let us know below in the comments what you guys are thinking. Are you thinking, hey, recast fucking T'Challa as always? Or, are you one of the ones that think, shut the fuck up? And if you are, no one cares. Who asked you? no one gives a fuck. No one asked you. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling about it today.
Straight up.